you're going to have to label his.
I'll probably be here just, Nicole has some phones too.
Yes, you can. I just gave you the option. Yeah, I thought you might.
Yeah, full.
10.
So there we need name
Check.
tag.
2.
We don't have.
I didn't bring them down because
That's okay.
we're trying to save on.
I'll put that all the way.
So one new thing is the lights have an on and off.
Okay.
So when they pick up,
So the green light means everything can hear you.
Okay.
The speakers and it's screaming. So if you need to cough or slander somebody.
Okay.
It'll stay off all the time. Okay.
Just want to let you guys know the mics aren't live right now. So we want to let you guys know that first. And also,
I missed what you said at the beginning,
the
Edgar.
microphones are live right now.
Okay.
So if you need to mute it, so green means that it's on. If you push it again, that means that it's muted.
Okay.
However, it picks up pretty much all the
Hi.
audio, so if you do have
okay, I'm
off,
gonna
the
retrain
next
you.
mic will pick it up.
Let's walk this way.
Yeah.
All the time we're
I don't
Pretty
want.
much.
you don't want me not. I'm here.
Then I recount anything I said.
Even you whisper, man.
You can go ahead and play with the button, get a feel for it.
Yeah, that's what I did.
We need to adjust the mic to make it so you can.
Actually, it's more like.
You want to try with that?
I got 518.
Is that right? This is great. I love these.
Am I in your area here? Good.
No, you're not in my area.
Panic. I haven't looked at the video yet.
Alright, so you guys ready? I would do it. Ready?
And if you were in my area, I wouldn't complain.
Heather, you want to give us a thumbs up if you're ready?
Okay, we're all shut down.
Alright, so welcome to the Beaumont City Council meeting for Tuesday, November 5th, 2019. We are in closed session. It is 5:03 p.m. May I have call to order, please?
Councilmember White,
Here.
Councilmember Lara,
Here.
Councilmember Carroll,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Santos,
Here.
Mayor Martinez.
Here. Do we have any public comments?
We do not.
Alright, may I ask the city attorney to read the items for discussion?
Yes, the council's meeting in closed session. Item number 2 is conference with legal counsel regarding anticipated existing litigation pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9D1 and/or 2 and/or 3, and that's a workers' compensation case number COBM-0065. Then item 3 is conference with legal counsel regarding pending litigation pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9 D1, and there are 3 cases: Beaumont versus McFarland and Anderson, and that is case number RIC 1813359. Beaumont versus Norton Rose, that is case number RIC 1904645, and Beaumont versus Urban Logic, and that is case number RIC 1707201. That's it.
All right, and with that, we'll adjourn to closed session.
Are these the same machines we had over there?
Yes, I just
There it is.
flipped them this way to give you the option. But you
Thank you. I'm thinking, I will if I want me to. All right.
Nice if I can finish my last meeting in the new council, but that's okay. No pressure. No pressure. All right, good. So, Nicole. Recycling thing.
Set the bar low.
Oh, is that what you were telling me?
Okay, ready?
Oh, yeah.
Do the pledge for us. When you do the pledge for us when we get there. It's, there, it's in the corner. Well, we should probably spread out those sheets. Yeah, it'll work.
You very well.
What? No.
You're not even in the same ballpark. I don't know what meeting you're
All
in.
right. Okay, we are returning from closed session. May we have a report out, please?
Council met in closed session. Item number 2, conference with legal counsel regarding anticipated existing litigation pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9D1 and/or 2 and/or 3, workers' compensation case number COBM 0065, no reportable action. Item number 3, conference with legal counsel regarding pending litigation pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9D1, 3 cases. Beaumont versus McFarland and Anderson, no reportable action. Beaumont versus Norton Rose, no reportable action. And Beaumont versus Urban Logic et al., no reportable action. And that's a report out from closed session.
Okay, thank you. All right, we are now going into the regular session for the Beaumont City Council meeting for November 5th, 2019 at 6:06 p.m. Call to order, please. Roll call.
Councilmember White.
Here.
Councilmember Lara.
Here.
Councilmember Carroll.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Santos.
Here.
Mayor Martinez.
Here. Okay, do we have any requests for excused absence? Okay, we'll go with the Pledge of Allegiance. Mayor Pro Tem Santos, would you lead us, please?
Here. Put your hand up to your heart. Right hand. Start. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, do we have any adjustments to the agenda? Okay.
There, we do have one item added to the presentation section.
Okay. All right, so with that, we will go to announcement, recognitions, and correspondence. We have an Aquatic Safety Award presentation.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Tonight, I would like to present the City of Beaumont City Council with the 2019 Silver International Aquatic Safety Award. This has been presented to the city from Jeff Ellis and Associates. It is an aquatic consultant that we hired last year to help us get the Beaumont pool plunge up to par. And so I'd like to just read a few lines from this Aquatic Safety Award, and then I'm going to invite Lily Averett up. She is our lead recreation specialist, AKA pool manager, and this is truly her work that has warranted this prestigious award. We are pleased to notify you that the lifeguard staff has been awarded our firm's prestigious Silver International Aquatic Safety Award pursuant to consistently exceeding our criteria for aquatic safety certification this year. and that was no small task. And so I'd like to invite Lily up to give you a brief overview on what she had to go through to get this award.
Good evening, everyone. So this last year in March, I was given the opportunity to come with this company, and it was a life changer to myself and to the aquatic industry that we have never had here in the city of Beaumont. From going to these classes and learning and experience these things that I would have never have known, and going there, a little bit that we did is going to extensives, getting CPR certified, first aid, AED, lifeguard certifications for myself to certify these individuals. And so we were able to hire our lifeguards in-house, and we're able to be able to certify them all without going to an outside source, which was great, because when we have different lifeguards getting certified in different places, they're not all on the same page when it comes to an emergency action plan. So by going to this company, we were able to all be on the same page with the emergency action plan, whether it was from a small Band-Aid cut to an extensive, if we did have an emergency, they would have known. We did extensive training before the pool would open, after the pool. Every week we had 4 to 8 hours of training that we would do per week. And just doing, all of this was great. I mean, even having the customers or the patrons come and tell us, oh, wow, what a difference. You guys are all on the same page. It's nice coming here because we all know that we're safe. And they would see us training, because once the pool would close, we would do our training. Or they would see us early morning, 7 a.m. call or 6 a.m. call to go out in the freezing cold pool and, go swimming, do your 300 laps, it's like, okay. So, but without this, we wouldn't be where we are. And so I'm happy to say that now we are.
So we will present these to City Council, and I will ask staff to hang them. We're actually going to hang these at the pool.
Oh,
Nice.
Nice.
excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much. Appreciate that, and congratulations. It looks like you went through a lot just to get them certified too, so I'll feel safe if I'm swimming around you, so thank you. All right, next we have the recycling presentation.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Before you, I have put together a little graphic for you to see what we were able to accomplish this year at our 2019 community cleanup. As you're aware, we do have one of these every single year, so this is just a quick recap of what we were able to collect and divert from our landfill and meet the mandates of Cal Recycle. So the top box you will see total in tons. The green box is 2018 and the blue box is 2019. So as you can see, between last year and this year, we were able to increase our collection of waste items and also increase our recyclables as well. So it's a pat on the back to all of us that are doing our part to keeping those items out of the landfill. At the very bottom, the graphic is the 2019 totals that you will see of what we were able to collect. The very hot item this year was white goods or metals, and those can be your refrigerators, your dishwashers, those kinds of things. We had to swap that cart out multiple times throughout the event because we had so much. So those are a great item to recycle, and it's a great opportunity for our residents to take advantage of and bring their unwanted items. So I would like to thank you as our council for supporting this event, to our police department for spearheading it for all the past years, Community Services Department for helping out, bringing them out and helping collect some of the items in some of our alleyways, but specifically the Beaumont Interact Club run by Bruce Merle. He is a huge contributor to this event. He typically brings out 150 to 200 people, volunteers that come out and help and unload vehicles. He brings kids out from all the schools, and they go around all the alleyways and they collect all the blight that can be seen. So they do a fantastic job every single year, and I would just like to thank them publicly for all of their support, as well as you. Through our new contract with Waste Management, we have been able to add in an additional community cleanup, so we will now be having 2 a year. This is in addition to the 2 free bulky item pickups that residents are allowed to take advantage of through our waste management services. So we have 4 opportunities for all of our residents to now bring all of their unwanted items and get rid of them at no cost. So this is no cost to them. The next community cleanup is scheduled for Saturday, March the 28th. So mark it on your calendars, start going through your garages and your cupboards, and bring me all of your unwanted items. So that is all I have. I just wanted to give you a quick update.
Thank you.
All right,
Appreciate
thank you.
it. Okay, so moving on, we are on public comment period. Do we have public comment?
Yes.
All right, so any one person may address the city council on any matter not on this agenda. If you wish to speak, please fill out a public comment form provided at the back table and give it to the city clerk. Again, there's a 3-minute time limit on public comments. There will be no sharing or passing of time to another person, and state law prohibits the city council from discussing or taking actions brought up by your comments. We will open public comment at 6:14 p.m.
Linda Kimball.
I always have something to say. That is good. Good evening, council, mayor. My name is Linda Kimball, and I live at 1420 Yarrow Lane. My question, I don't know who I'm supposed to ask, but the refurbish of the bus stop at Walmart and the other ones, I've not heard anything else about those. And I would like to know who, I don't know, because they discussed it here, that's why I'm asking. I just like to know what they're doing.
I can ask staff to answer that if you're done. Is that all? Okay.
That was my easy question.
Todd, do we have an update on that by any chance, or is Elizabeth still here?
Elizabeth stepped out, so we could
Oh,
ask Elizabeth to go
Where'd
with
you
the
come back?
and they can have a discussion.
Okay, would that be good?
Just thinking on our future agendas, we talked about doing a bus shelter contract award. So at the meeting of November 19th, we're scheduled to actually award a contract to do bus shelter for.
Nice.
So we've been working on getting those.
Thank you. That was it.
All right, thank you for your comment. Any further speakers? Okay, seeing none, then we will close public comment at 6:16 p.m. and move to our consent calendar. Items on the consent calendar are taken as one action item unless an item is for further discussion here at the end. Do we have any items that wish to be pulled by council? Do we have any public comment on any of the items? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
I will make a motion to approve the consent calendar, items 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6.
I'll second.
Councilmember White.
Yes.
Councilmember Lara.
Yes.
Councilmember Carroll.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Santos.
Yes.
Mayor Martinez.
Yes. Okay, brings us to public hearings. Approval of all ordinances and resolutions to be read by title only. Public hearing, item number 7, public hearing for the first reading of proposed amendment to table 17.03-3, permitted uses in base zone district, in addition of chapter 17.18 regarding wireless telecommunications facilities.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. This item has been before you twice this year as a discussion item. This is actually your first opportunity to review the draft ordinance. The Planning Commission has conducted public hearings on the draft ordinance that occurred in June, July, and September, and they are recommending approval. The majority of the previous discussion on the ordinance focused on small cell wireless and towers in residential zones. The zoning code currently allows stealth facilities in commercial, manufacturing, and recreation and conservation areas subject to a conditional use permit. Non-stealth facilities are currently allowed in commercial zones with a conditional use permit. The draft ordinance is proposing to update the language in the permitted use table change the language to reflect wireless telecommunication facilities. We're also recommending the deletion of the language of cellular communication facilities as it's duplicative in the update. We're also recommending to delete non-stealth facilities as the proposed ordinance would not allow non-stealth. Staff is not proposing any changes to the overlay table. And some items in the new ordinance include definitions, submittal requirements, encouragement of co-location, and requirement that facilities need to be at least 1,500 feet from each other unless it's not feasible based on technological reasons, where they could be 500 feet from another site, and requiring at least 200 feet from residential zones. As I mentioned before, there was a lot of discussion regarding small cell devices. We are proposing a separate ordinance to be addressed in Title 24 of the Beaumont Municipal Code that deals with streets, sidewalks, and public right-of-ways, as what's before you tonight is regarding the zoning ordinance. The ordinance for the small cell will be prepared in conjunction with Public Works staff, and we anticipate a draft to be before the council in your second meeting in January. So at this time, staff would like to recommend that the City Council conduct a public hearing and waive the first full reading and approve by title only an ordinance of the City of Beaumont approving an amendment to the addition to the City of Beaumont Municipal Code pertaining to the regulation of wireless telecommunications facilities, amending Table 17.3-3, the permitted use for base zone districts, and adding Chapter 17.18 for wireless telecommunication facilities of the Beaumont Municipal Code. This concludes my presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Okay, thank you. So at this time, we'll hold a public hearing. I'll open public hearing at 6:20 p.m. Do we have any speakers?
No, sir.
Okay, so then we will close at 6:20 p.m. and we will entertain discussion from council. I do have a question or two up we're thinking. So Mr. Parton and I, we discussed the possibility of adding a definition of stealth into the ordinance. Is that still a possibility, or do we think that we can?
We can add that definition.
So as I was reading it, we see the word stealth pop up quite a bit, but I don't see it in the definition. So just to prevent any confusion, and do we have it in the definition?
It's actually the definition of camouflage. We can change that to stealth.
Okay, as long as it's consistent, we don't have any ambiguity there. And I do like that we maintain the facilities not to be in the residential, so I noticed that here in the zone for not permitting for especially the residential single family, so thank you for that. Okay, any questions or discussion? Mr. White?
Just for clarification, after the ordinance is finally in place, I'm looking at your table here of all the surrounding residential zoning from surrounding cities. We will be like the Palm Desert, where it's just everything's prohibited from residential.
There are actually several cities that prohibit residential.
Yeah, this is, no, I'm not saying there aren't. I'm just saying, just so I know how we will look on this, we will be with just prohibited in all residential zones.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Any further, Ms. Carroll?
When I was reading through this, it was brought up that there's no height restriction, right? Correct?
The underlying zoning height requirements will be in place, and so typically those in the commercial and industrial run between 35 to 50 feet. We anticipate that, most cell towers are usually above 50 feet, so they may have to apply for minor variance or major variance depending on the height they need to get the coverage that they're looking for.
So there's no need to add any detail on that on height going forward?
We can add a height limitation or a maximum height if the council desires. But like I said, whatever the underlying zoning is going to dictate the maximum height.
We could bring that back. We could go with this now, and if we thought there was a concern going in that direction, that height was getting out of reach, we could always come back and talk about that, correct?
That's correct. And one of the requirements in the ordinance is that the carriers provide justification for the height that they're requesting as well.
Thank you.
Mr. White, any other question?
Yeah, just, oh, I'm sorry, I thought you said Mr. White.
Oh, sorry, well, this is Mr. Lara, if that's okay. Go ahead, Mr. Lara, let's get everyone first.
So just real quick, on the stealth, we still have the control to make sure that a stealth facility actually looks stealth and not pretends to look stealth?
Correct.
That's a big concern of mine, because I've seen not so stealthy cell towers.
Correct. So the stealth would require a conditional use permit, which would be staff review and approved by the Planning Commission. We can condition them to put a certain amount of branches per foot and make sure that it's maintained and kept in a aesthetic fashion.
And require photos of ones that are, because I saw one that had a bunch of branches, but they put the antenna on the outside of the branches and flattened the branches out. Thank you. Go ahead.
If you, Mr. White, Mr. Santos said you may go.
You had said something that I should have noticed when you first said it. So these restrictions will restrict a cell tower within up to 200 feet to residential?
Correct. It says that it shall be located at least 200 feet from residential, so it's shall and not should. So there is flexibility by the Planning Commission if someone came in with justification and say it was like 175 feet.
Well, I'm more concerned the other way. I think, as you probably know, I'm in favor of conditional use permits on residential. And, my thought when we were talking about that was somewhere along the lines of 1,500 feet from a property line. And if I have a home on the edge of my property and someone wants to put up a cell tower 200 feet from my actual structure, that is allowed by the zoning?
It would be allowed, but subject to approval by the Planning Commission with a conditional use permit.
So the Planning Commission could say, no, 200 feet's too close?
Correct.
Okay. Are you all comfortable? If you're all comfortable with that being, I just wanted to bring that up in case you thought 200 feet might be too close to somebody's home.
So you're looking for a maximum, minimum?
Well, when we were talking about, my idea was doing it on residential, keeping it at 1,500 feet, which meant it didn't really matter if you're on a small residential lot, there's not enough room for one anyways. And if you put it on a residential lot with conditional use, but the requirement was 1,500 feet away from another residential building, structure, I think that was a better solution than allowing up to 200 feet. So I just put that out for thought.
Okay, let's continue. Let's go to Mr. Santos and then we'll respond to that.
Yeah, on my side on that, I thought, residential zoning will be not permitted on that side. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. On the commercial, industrial, and others will be a conditional, use only.
Correct.
Okay. That's a little bit better on my side. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Lara, do you have a comment?
Just Councilmember White brings up a good point. 200 feet is awful close. I don't know what a good distance would be, but through the entitlement process, though, it does go to public hearing, and the affected property owners could test that.
Correct.
Gosh, I'm not sure what a good distance would be, but
Would it be possible to indicate as opposed to 200 feet to a property line, 200, maybe a certain a number of feet from a residential structure that's already in place? If you did that, would you have a problem if somebody put something up that was okay until you built the structure, and then once you built the structure, it's too close? So,
Yeah, I think if you want to, we could look at a base distance of 200 or 300 feet and then another foot setback for every height, maybe on the tower, something like that. So you've got a functional component, so.
And just as a point of comment, our public hearing radius is 300 feet. So if you're 200 feet, people that are within that 300 foot are going to get the notice. If you move it beyond that, then we have the potential that the public notices don't reach any of the residences. So something else to consider, or if we want to go to 500 feet and then we think we're far enough away, I still think keeping it a little bit closer allows people the opportunity to comment, because whether you're 200 feet or 500 feet, or even 1,000 feet in some cases, you may still see the structure that's going up. So just additional points.
The applicant's going to argue in some cases where they want to be closer topography or other, physical characteristics of the land that they're talking about locating the facility. So, where it can be screened or where it's not going to be visible, they're going to argue we can be closer, right? So, so I think definitely if you want to push them back further, then we definitely probably need to look at a base setback that's a little bit further out.
And I think the other thing to remember is this is where residential, and I would say probably maybe a good example would be where we're building the new medical facility on 8th and Highland. Those folks bought a piece of property knowing they're backing up to commercial, which means different things can go in there. And so you're going to have a higher building, you may have a higher structure. I just think it's a little bit different than than being kind of in the middle of a residential tract. You bought your piece of property knowing that you're going to be next to commercial, industrial, or some other type of zoning that's already been entitled prior to purchasing your property. Just something to think about.
Mayor, one more comment?
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I agree with you on that. It's just, I thought, I'm going to give this up because I know it's a 1-4 on residential property. But I think when you look at the residential property and you you put a requirement of 1,500 feet from the property lines, that allows someone with 2, 3, 4 acres that's residential to be able to take advantage of their property. So I understand what you're saying, but we have caught some problems from that medical building being so close to homes, and I just think if we're not comfortable with it in the way that I approached it, where a large residential lot would be able to do it, then we ought to seriously look at whether or not 200 is too close and I like the idea if it's larger, taller, those kinds of things. Because even if we say it's 200 and we do that for notification purposes and somebody wants to come in and do it for 200 and all their neighbors come out and say that's too close, we're still not, the planning department still has the ability to say we're good with 200.
Sure. As the staff will have to review it and make a recommendation to Planning Commission on what we feel is appropriate based on the guidelines we have. The Planning Commission can still take into consideration the public comment and choose to, act differently than what staff's recommendation is. So it really will be considered on a case-by-case basis.
But they still could they could go as close as 200 feet because we're giving them that approval in the ordinance.
Based on the proposal here, yes.
Okay. Yeah. I won't ask any more questions.
It's a good discussion. So, we'll see it in the vote. Anybody wants to modify or amend that. Again, to me, it's the height more. I mean, you go 200, 500, it's still the height of the thing that I'm concerned with. So I'm okay with it like that. But anybody else wants to do an amendment, or you're welcome to put an amendment motion if you'd like.
No.
Any further discussion? If not, then I will entertain a motion.
Do you want us to bring back some concepts for setback from residential?
I do, but if the other 4 don't, then that's a waste of time.
I think,
Yeah,
it's a good idea.
Okay, so we'll bring back some options for you. One would be looking at a straight 1,500-foot setback, and the other may be some other more dynamic setback mechanisms that we could look at as guidelines.
Yeah.
That'd be okay?
Thank you.
And just for clarification, the tallest zoning district is 50 feet. So that's the maximum height that any tower could be.
Okay.
Would you like us to reference that in the ordinance as well?
And we can reference that. We can
I
add a
would like
statement
to.
in there that clarifies, again, maximum, but could be lower based on maybe surrounding areas or distance to property lines for residential.
Agreeable on that?
Yep.
All right.
Yeah, so considering what we're talking about, recommendation would be to continue the public hearing so we can come back to you with some adjustments?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I close the public hearing. Do I need to open it again to continue it, or?
You can continue it because you're going to be making modifications and allowing the public to comment on those modifications.
Okay.
Do we need a motion to continue it?
Yeah.
I move that we continue the public hearing.
I'll second that.
Councilmember White.
Well, sorry, one more
Excuse me.
interjection, I'm sorry. We do have to pick a certain date that it will be continued to.
Well, that's all we
Oh,
have
I was
left.
going to say, we can have it ready, these are relatively minor, we can have it ready for the 19th if that's council's preference, or we can have it for the 3rd.
I would prefer 19th, just in case if we have more, we can still go to the 3rd.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
good?
So I move to continue this till November 19th.
Yes.
I'll second that.
Councilmember White.
Yes.
Councilmember Lara.
Yes.
Councilmember Carroll.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Santos.
Yes.
Mayor Martinez.
Yes. Okay, and with that, we'll go to item number 8 from public hearing. A public hearing for the first reading of an ordinance for a pavement moratorium on newly surfaced streets.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council. Yes, the item before you is the first reading for notice of a pavement moratorium for newly surfaced streets. As discussed in the road and rehabilitation program workshop that we had back in August, we're in the process, excuse me, of implementing a citywide pavement management program. The city has a wide array of public streets that range from poor condition to good condition and intends to improve the overall rating of our system, known as the pavement condition index. In order to effectively implement a successful pavement management program, staff is recommending implementation of a pavement cut moratorium. The purpose of a pavement cut moratorium is to protect the public's investment in its infrastructure and ensure roadways do not deteriorate faster than expected as a result of utility trench cut. As part of the pavement management program, notice will be given to all utility purveyors so that they will have an opportunity to perform any needed maintenance work or planned work prior to the road rehabilitation. Once the road is rehabilitated, the roadway would be placed under a moratorium for which we would not allow purveyors or contractors to excavate the roadway for maintenance work. Allowing street cuts to newly surfaced streets can lead to some of the following, just to name a few: premature pavement degradation, premature structural failures, and uneven riding surface, and negative visual impacts. The moratorium will require no trench or excavation shall be permitted in any street that's been newly constructed or reconstructed for a period of 5 years, or for a period of 3 years for streets that have been recently slurry sealed, fog sealed, or received some other service active.
Okay.
Now we're on.
There you're back.
Wow.
You're on.
That's pretty good.
This is new technology for him.
So there are certain circumstances in which an exception may be granted. These include emergencies which endanger life or public health and safety, work that is mandated by city, state, or local legislation, and services to buildings or properties where there are no other reasonable means of providing service. Any person who requests an exception must provide justifications for the exception, which are listed in the attached ordinance. Some of those including an explanation as to why the work cannot be completed via jack and bore method, horizontal directional drilling, and why the work cannot be deferred until after the moratorium expires. Should an exception be granted, staff will impose conditions to ensure that the restoration of the street paving and its longevity. And with that, it's recommendation that the City Council waive the first full reading and approve by title only an ordinance of the City of Beaumont for a moratorium on pavement cuts on recently resurfaced streets. I'm available for any questions you might have.
Okay, thank you for that. we will hold a public hearing and open at 6:38 PM. Do we have comment? No? Okay. We will close at 6:38 PM. Council discussion? If not, then we'll take a motion.
Mayor, I move to waive the full first reading and approve by title only an ordinance of the City of Beaumont for moratorium on pavement cuts on recently resurfaced streets.
Second.
Councilmember White?
Yes.
Councilmember Lara?
Yes.
Councilmember Carroll?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Santos?
Yes.
Mayor Martinez?
Yes. Okay, with that, we're in action items. Action item number 9, approval of all ordinances and resolutions to be read by title only. Number 9, the appointment to the Beaumont Planning Commission.
Mayor and Council, I would like to present to you our only applicant that we had for the Planning Commission vacancy. It's a partial term. The seat will end in December of 2020, and the applicant is Anthony Mateo. Go ahead and come on up.
Mayor, before Anthony starts, I'd just like to confirm something.
Sure.
Because I don't want it to appear that I asked this after hearing from Anthony. If we want to send it back out to get more than just one person, that's something we decide as a group tonight. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Thank you.
Well, welcome.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. My name is Anthony, and it's a pleasure to be here among you all. I applied for the vacancy seat. A bit worried just because of my age and my experience. I don't know if I measured it up to the standard. But in life, it's not about really what you know, but you know what you could do. At 38 years old, I own my own business currently. I am a resident here of Beaumont. I own my own home. It's been a struggle, it's been a fight, but that's why I want to be here. You know, I love the city of Beaumont, and I want to be part of the change and the growth that's here in this city. So I just want to see if you guys have any questions for me. I'm open.
Okay, so let's ask council if we have questions directly to ask him while he's here, and then if we don't, then we'll go to discussion after that. So, any questions from council? Mr. Mateo? Ms. Carroll?
I've read about you, and I appreciate your investment in the city of Beaumont with your business, which of course is getting very good reviews. But I also appreciate your involvement in the community, where you're concerned about making sure that the community is well fed and serviced. So I don't know how the other council members are going to feel. I realize that you don't have a great extensive background in planning commission coming to us, but I very much appreciate your interest in the community and the commitment that you've already shown for that. So I just wanted to make sure that you knew that that's very impressive.
Thank you.
And I know that requires family to be involved too, so I appreciate it from your family also. That's it.
Thank you.
Other questions or comments? Mr. White?
You know, I agree with Ms. Carroll that the important part is your commitment to the community. And everything else I see here, your vision, all of that, I'm comfortable with. I think the other big important part of being on the Planning Commission is you've got a good example of it a little bit today with the cell towers, is how you get along with the other 4 members. And so if you could just speak to the idea that you are going to be, there's going to be situations like I had tonight where you disagree, but you need to find a way to either mitigate it, make it better in the way that you want to go, or to move forward and move on to the next item. There, you will find on the Planning Commission there are times when the staff will tell you, we need your approval and your opinion on this, but then they're going to say, well, it doesn't really matter what your approval is. It's just a matter of a process. And there are going to be some times when you want to say no, but you can't. So if you could just speak to some of how you would address some of those issues to help me understand that the other part of what I'm looking for is not only community commitment, but also the ability to work with others.
I realize that there's always conflict, right? We're totally different people. We come from totally different backgrounds, so everybody thinks differently. This is a melting pot. We're in here in California, so we got to make sure that we melt together and melt well, right? Because I can't just add any type of seasoning to my food. It has to work well. So even if it might be totally different, might be a different idea of something that I don't agree upon, we gotta find a happy medium. There's always disagreements, and in anywhere, in a home, there's disagreement. There's always disagreements, but we gotta find how do we make it better, how do we work through this, and how do we get a win-win. I'm always looking to get win-wins with everybody that I work with, because it's not all about me, but it's about everybody working together. It's not about me shining, but it's about Beaumont shining. It's about the community shining. It's about everybody else shining, not just one person, but working together as a team to shine. And that's my goal is, and decisions are always hard. Nobody wants to be the one that says no, or and everybody wants to somebody say, yeah, let's do it, but you gotta have that backbone and be able to say, let's think about it. Where do we find that medium where everybody's happy? And it's not just, let's just do it to please the person, but that everybody gets the best out of the situation.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Laura?
I appreciate your investment in our community and your desire to invest in the city as well through the Planning Commission. Hopefully it doesn't take you away from opening up Cornerstone for more days during the week. And I like your approach. It isn't about one individual, it's about 5 individuals working together for a common goal. And so I appreciate that. I appreciate your interest, especially with everything that you have on your plate already. So I thank you for your interest.
Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Santos?
On my side, this is thank you so much. I mean, you step up. Actually, this is a volunteer, work, right?
Yeah.
So, you're self-employed. I'm self-employed, so I know, time is an element on individual. So, with the support of your wife and the family, I think you'll do good on this, endeavor that you'll be facing on here. And again, I really appreciate that stepping up. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I noticed on the application you mentioned that one of the parts of your vision is to include a continual progress. So for those in the city that would say that we should have slow growth or no growth, limited growth, how would you respond to that?
Any water that doesn't move becomes dirty and mucky. A river you could drink river water. You can't really drink lake water because there's a lot of diseases and things like that. So a river is always moving, and anything that is next to a river is always thriving. So we have to continue to think ourselves always in moving, because we don't want to be a dirty, mucky water. We want to be in living water, and we want to grow. And I believe that Beaumont is growing. You guys are already doing it, and if everybody here has been working diligently to make Beaumont what it is, and it's only going to get better, and I just want to be a part of it.
Okay. As a planning commissioner, we have pretty much you're looking at it from 3 ways. Anything that you're deciding, you're looking at it from a resident point of view, the economic point of view, but also from the city point of view. So you're a resident and you're a business owner.
Yes, sir.
But the city part, how would you say that as a planning commissioner, the city's vision would be? Because I've seen your vision, but what do you think our vision is of the city?
I would think it's with any city, right? I don't think you guys sit around and be like, let's not do anything. Let's just sit here and let's not grow. Especially with all the development that's going around. You see Temecula and Murrieta and those cities they went from nothing to where they're at now. They're doing really good economic wise, and I see the growth here, and I see it's not just about growing fast, right? Because we can't grow too fast, because then we become a metropolitan area where there's a lot of homeless, because there's a lot of influx of people coming in, and we don't know everybody that's coming in. So it grows in stages, like a tree grows. It doesn't become a big tree. It grows in small parts, little parts, and then it continues to grow. But that person that continues to water, which is councilmember mayors, continues to water that, is going to see the tree produce fruit and not just rot. So that's what I see the vision from you guys, seeing continue working and diligently doing what you guys have been doing already, because there's a lot of good fruit that I've been seeing in the city.
And lastly, there's going to be times where you'll get a lot of heat or pressure from, let's say, industry or business and so forth. But then on the same, you'll get the resident that comes in and says, no, you can't do that because of this. So do you think you can maintain a nice neutral approach to some of your decisions when it comes to the decisions you make?
I believe so. There's always hard decisions. Like I said, in life, there's always been hard decisions when you're going to say yes and when you're going to say no. And it's all about listening to a person and listening and really thinking, caring about the person. I am a resident here. I am a business owner, and so I know as a business owner, we need to grow. We got to make money. We don't just put a building up or put cell towers up, and because just for the fun of it, but it has to produce something. But as a resident, I got to make sure that I'm good to those that are around me. Why am I going to put these big things here or place anything and not think about how is that going to affect our community? So it's just about seeing both sides and ultimately making a wise decision that you're going to stand by. Make sure that my yeses are yes and my noes are noes.
Well, like the council echoed, thank you for your commitment and your desire to be a part of this machine that we're creating, so I appreciate that. Mr. City Clerk, do you have a question?
Yeah, just a personal observation. I lived in Georgia for many years, and I found it rather difficult to find decent barbecue in this neck of the woods. No matter what happens tonight, I'm glad you're here.
Thank you for your levity. All right, so with that, do we have any further discussion from council or comments? You can go ahead and sit down. We appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve the appointments to the Planning Commission.
I'll second that.
Councilmember White?
Yes.
Councilmember Lara?
Yes.
Councilmember Carroll?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Santos?
Yes.
Mayor Martinez?
Yes, congratulations.
Careful what you wish for.
Yeah. You're smiling now. We'll see in a few months. Okay, very well. So, moving on. We are now on item, and let me see, I lost my place here. Somebody tell me what item I'm on.
Number 10.
10, okay, there we go. So, item number 10 is the notice of upcoming vacancies.
Mayor and Council, before you is a notice of the upcoming vacancies. There are 2 vacancies on the Economic Development Committee that will be terming out in January, as well as 3 vacancies on the Finance and Audit Committee. This notice will be placed on our social media as well as in the newspaper, and an application will be on our website. The application deadline is going to be January 6th of 2020. And we'll bring all those applications forward to you for appointments.
Okay, very well. Do we have public comment on this?
No, sir.
All right, discussion and questions from council? Ms. Carroll?
The Finance and Audit Committee, one of the members, Andrew, he needs to be removed. I'm unclear whether it needs to be done by council or whether it can be done by the Finance and Audit Committee. It seems to me we've discussed this before, and I believed that it was allowed to be done by the committee itself. that they could remove him. And I would like clarification so that we know whether we can take that as an action item at the committee level.
And he is an alternate right now, correct?
Yes, but I think he actually is over the pond, so to speak. I think he's back in England. So we haven't seen him now for probably at least 6 or 7 meetings.
If you'd like, I can look it up, and then if it's something
you
that
let
the
us know?
council does, I'll put it on the next council agenda, and if it's something that the committee can do, I'll put it on the next committee agenda.
We just need the clarity one way or the other. Thank you.
Is it possible for us to say tonight that if council has the authority to do it, we'll go ahead and do it?
Not tonight, because it's not on the agenda.
Okay.
But typically, if you have the power of appointment, you also have the power of removal. So, from the council perspective.
Okay.
The committee itself doesn't appoint its members, council does. But I'm going to pull up the code right now and take a look and see if there's anything.
Thank you.
And then maybe during the city attorney report, I'll comment on it.
So, quick question. So, since there's already a vacancy on the Finance and Audit Committee, then hopefully by the time these come in, if it is approved that the council can do it, then we can go ahead and entertain it with that without having to redo another notice, correct? All right. Okay, very well. All right, so this is a receive and file.
To that point, we can already put out requests for applications. Right?
Yeah, because it's already, we're not going to say 2, we'll just say vacancy.
Okay.
And then if 2 people show up and we have another one, it'll work that way.
I'll move to receive and file.
I'll second.
Councilmember White?
Yes.
Councilmember Lara?
Yes.
Councilmember Carroll?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Santos?
Yes.
Mayor Martinez?
Yes. Brings us to item number 11, the approval of contracts for weed abatement services.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Tonight before you have approval of contracts for 3 separate contractors. It's loud. And for 2 different departments within the city, one for community services and one for code enforcement. The code enforcement side of the house is to hire the contractors to do weed abatement on private property, and subsequently the city gets reimbursed through a couple different ways, liens or payment directly. On the community services side, we are responsible for maintaining all of the city's open space, and there is a significant amount of open space, over 100 acres of land that needs to be maintained, just as private property owners need to maintain their property as well. We currently do have contracts with these 3 contractors. However, it was under the city manager's signing authority, and we have hit that threshold. And so we're bringing those contractors to you tonight to approve those contracts and allow us to continue abating private and public property as well.
Very well. Do we have public comment?
No, sir.
Okay, we'll take discussion or a motion from council. Discussion?
Quickly. On my side, on the abatement, I know I brought it out probably 3 months ago on this. I mean, why don't we do a schedule of notification starting on May, June, July, sending them a letter saying that it's coming up and everything, and then doing a follow-up. And I know October, November, based on my experience, that's always the dry season for our region on that. So if we could do that, I mean, probably what will happen is they're obligated to do their abatement instead of us doing billing. If they don't perform on a certain given time, that's the time that we could put it on their taxes, lien, and all those stuff. My point is giving them a notification that there will be liability on their land if they don't perform or follow our instructions. I don't know if that will be on the municipal code or something.
There is a process for notification and abatement. Weed abatement actually on the private side is a year-round process. It's not, it used to be certain months out of the year, but with the rainy seasons that we've had lately, it is an ongoing issue, as it is on the city side. We can abate a parcel, and 2 months later, it needs to be abated again. And so it is an ongoing effort on both private and public. We do notify the property owners, and they do have a certain amount of time. I can't speak into detail about the code enforcement side because it's been a long time since I've been on that. I don't know, but there isn't a notice process.
So on a yearly basis, we do that on the notification? for the
It's on an as-needed, so not just annually. If property owners' parcels or anything like the cities, it could be bi-monthly. It could be every quarter. It just depends on when it's needed. As soon as, if it's needed, it gets noticed.
Okay.
So typically it's twice a year. They're notified early in the spring, like March. They're given a window depending on the degree of what's out there. Some things obviously a lot more critical than others. And code enforcement communicates with the property owners. They do have some people that are on a voluntary list that say, code enforcement, go ahead and abate, and then we're going to pay it. And then there's the others that are non-compliant that we have to work a little more diligently to track down. And then ultimately we do the abatement and then put the liens or whatever cost recovery method we have to do on there. I know code enforcement community enhancement has done it twice this year, and I think there are some parcels because of the rainy season, like Elizabeth said, that are in the third round of communication with the property owner needing to be abated again.
Very good. Thank you.
And there's always there's always the route of citizen complaint, right? So
Absolutely. Yeah, they can do that online by calling customer counter, sending an email to planning or code or anything, and we deal with it that way.
It falls within that time, but we don't get to it. Questions, Carol?
For some property owners, did I misunderstand? They're on the third round of being notified that they're...
Well, not the third round that they haven't done it. It's the weeds have come in again, or the growth has come up again for the third time this year.
Thank you for the
that requires
clarification.
the attention. Yeah.
All right. When you're on the voluntary list the city just goes ahead and takes care of it, and then they get billed for the cost of that?
And there's a process every year. Code enforcement sends out the letter that says you're on our voluntary list. Would you like to continue to be on that list? They respond back with a yes or no. If they choose to continue, then we go through the abatement process, and then they pay the billing for it. If they choose not to be, then they go on to the other list where we work with them from a real code enforcement standpoint of communicating with them. You need to abate the property either on your own, or we, the city, will handle it through our abatement contractors.
Okay, so I have a question. So if it costs $100 to clear the weeds on that lot, then you bill them for the $100, or do you bill them for a little bit more because you actually have had to get involved in the transaction?
There is some additional administrative costs. I couldn't tell you the percentage offhand, but there is an administrative cost.
Thank you. That's all I wanted to know.
Mr. White?
You had two scenarios, one where they respond yes, when they respond no. What happens when they don't respond?
So if they don't respond, then essentially they would become non-compliant, or they'd go onto the list of not being in the voluntary program. So they would continue to be noticed just like any other property owner would be noticed, and then we'd follow the appropriate course of action.
Okay, thank you.
The tumbleweeds on Brookside, are those city or is that private?
I can answer that.
Oh.
That is, are you talking about between Cherry and Orchard Heights?
Yes.
That is still under Pardis. We do not take it over until it has been developed and we accept it. And so I did have a conversation with Pardee on Friday. They are aware of it and they will take care of it.
Okay, because they're getting a little bit of a hazard as they go through the street. So very well. Okay. Yes.
I realized the initial selection was under the city manager's role. for this. Were there bids put out for these? I mean, I really wouldn't worry about the ones that we're going to be reimbursed for, but we do have city land that's being cleared. Was there a bidding process?
There were multiple contractors in the original bid. However, we have narrowed it down to 3 that are the most responsive.
That's what I wanted to hear.
Yeah. We plan to rebid at some point in the future.
Mayor, I'd like to move to approve the contracts for weed abatement services in the amount of $45,000 to $175,000 from the list of approved contractors as provided in the staff report.
I'll second.
Councilmember White?
Yes.
Councilmember Lara?
Yes.
Councilmember Carroll?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Santos? Mayor Martinez?
Yes. With that, item number 12, revisions to the City of Beaumont and Riverside Transit Agency Interagency Service Agreement number 18-017.
Thank you, Mayor. This item was before you last April 2018. This is really some cleanup language that will benefit the city. We currently allow passengers to transfer back and forth between RTA and the city free of charge. That has since become a hindrance to our fare box recovery. Right now, we have passengers that can get on at Walmart, transfer from RTA at Walmart, ride to the San Bernardino Transit Center, and get off there, go to work, get back on the the commuter link, our bus, and come back to Walmart and never having paid fare to us at all. And so this was brought to our attention actually by our bus drivers that this is a kind of issue with our contract. And so we sat down with RTA. We renegotiated the contract to mirror what we have with Omni. And so the changes that you see are before you. They are minor, although it does benefit our fare box. So passengers have to pay at least one direction now to us.
Good. Very well. Public comment on number 12?
No, sir.
Okay. Discussion or entertain a motion?
A real quick question. This may be stretching what's on the agenda, but are you looking into the implications of what's happening in Redlands regarding our future transportation? That's all I wanted to say. You don't have to answer that, but whether or not we're going to be sending buses down to Redlands to connect with their Metrolink there as opposed to going to San Bernardino?
It's part of the COA.
Okay. Thank you.
Carol?
Ms. Kimball, I just wanted to let you know that this is the woman that will have the answers to your question. You stepped out of the room and she had a question.
Oh,
so
okay.
I just want to make sure she knows that you're the person that can answer it. That's it.
Okay.
Great. I'm glad you're on top of this. Thank you.
Very good.
I'm ready to make a motion there.
All right.
I'll make a motion. Make a motion to approve the revisions to Article 5 of the Interagency Service Agreement 18-017 between Riverside Transit Agency and the City of Beaumont.
Second.
Councilmember White?
Yes.
Councilmember Lara?
Yes.
Councilmember Carroll?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Santos? Mayor Martinez?
Yes. Item number 13, the purchase of 6 Panasonic Tough Books for the Beaumont Police Department's mobile data computer platform.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. The item before you is a request to purchase 6 mobile data computers for use in the marked patrol vehicles. The current L3 MDCs are obsolete and are no longer supported by the manufacturer. As the current MDCs achieve the end of their service life, there are no replacement parts or software upgrades available. Through protracted research, the Panasonic Toughbook has emerged as the replacement MDC, and CDCE Incorporated as the MDC supplier and installer for the Beaumont Police Department. The fiscal impact to the Supplemental Law Enforcement Services account for the equipment purchase is $47,454.37. The annual recurring impact to the general fund for 12 SIM cards is approximately $5,760. The recommendation by staff is for you to approve the purchase of 6 Panasonic Toughbooks, Cradlepoint FirstNet routers, antennas, and cabling from CDC Incorporated, and 12 SIM cards from 2 of the 4 big cellular providers to outfit the department's marked patrol units. This completes my presentation, and I'm happy to answer any questions from council.
Thank you. Public comment? No? Okay. Discussion or motion from council?
Real quick one.
Okay.
Are we still leaving the cars running because we need to reboot the computers, and will we still have to do that here?
We currently are, yes, sir.
Okay, we will stay. That doesn't change with the new systems.
We won't know exactly until we get the new system installed, but we don't believe it will be an issue.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I see that we have AT&T and Verizon. Is coverage an issue at all with either one of these providers?
If we use them both, we won't have issues with coverage. Currently, we're only using one SIM card, which does cause some issues with coverage.
So when you say using them both, you're going to use them both in the same system, so you have dual coverage from one PC?
Correct. The router itself will contain both SIM cards, which if we, it'll be a redundant factor is what it is.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. All right, with that, I'll make the motion this time to approve the purchase of 6 Panasonic Toughbooks from CDCE Mobile Lot Integration. Boy, my glasses. Maybe I shouldn't. Cradle Point IVR 900 FirstNet routers with the Wi-Fi low-profile shark fin, 2G, 3G, 4G LTE antennas and cables, 12 SIM cards, 6 from Verizon, 6 from AT&T, to outfit the aforementioned dedicated patrol vehicles we have been authorized to purchase this fiscal year.
Second.
Councilmember White?
Yes.
Councilmember Lara?
Yes.
Councilmember Carroll?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Santos?
Yes.
Mayor Martinez?
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Number 14, wastewater treatment plant expansion renovation and brine pipeline installation project status update.
All right. Good evening, Mayor and Council. This is your monthly status update on your wastewater treatment plant brine line. Just to let you know, everything's going really well. Brine line is roughly about 80% installed. That is of the 23 miles. So the areas that we are having to go back and concentrate specifically on are the river crossings, the crossings that we're hanging on bridges. Basically all the jack and bores or directional drills are what's left. In addition, we're going back and now dealing with some of those dewatering areas that we had on Reach 1. The contractors are working on those areas as well as going back and starting restoration pavement, manholes, those types of things. So your brine line is going very, very well. And again, we're roughly about 80% installed. A couple of things that will be coming to you in the next meeting and some things that we're working on outside of construction but have to do with the ability to discharge in the future. Your staff's been working very closely with SAPA on meeting our conditional approval into the OCSD brine line. We had to meet 4 conditions with SAPA in order to grant our discharge ability. So staff has been working on the permit and the connection details that SAPA needs to approve with OCSD. I'm happy to say those are now all complete and we're approved to do that construction. There should be no additional comments. That means we can complete our application with SAPA to discharge into the brine line. SAPA is also working on one of the conditions, which was to change our capacity from one reach to the other within their portion of the brine line. They have a engineering details complete on that and are working on that was to seal the manholes along the Inland Empire brine line to create that additional capacity. Engineering details are done. They've got a cost estimate for us. We will actually pay SAPA, cut them a check in order to do that work since it is on the brine line. And we didn't want our contractor having to touch that. So that is also in the works. In addition to that, you're going to see several upcoming items on your next two agendas that will get us fully compliant with the pretreatment program. We will be repealing our pretreatment ordinance and adopting SAPA's ordinance by reference. We will be repealing our enforcement action plan and adopting theirs. There were minor tweaks in both of those that needed to be made, but it's actually easier just to adopt their ordinance and plans through resolutions by reference, so that if they change, ours automatically update as well. In addition to that, we will be bringing to council a resolution indicating that you will not serve wastewater outside your jurisdictional limits, that you will require annexation into your city limits. The reason for that resolution will be that is the only way that you can provide jurisdictional control of the pretreatment ordinance. And that's a requirement with OCSD, that we have to be able to control what's being discharged into our system that ultimately gets treated and then discharged down the brine line. And then the fourth one will be an adoption by reference of the policy and guidelines of the pretreatment program with SAPA. All of that will get packaged together as part of our application and then also sent over to the Regional Water Quality Board. That will be part of your ultimate discharge permit from the plant. So a lot of things still moving that are not just construction that we're working on in anticipation of being able to discharge into the system and then discharge with our new treatment plant. On the wastewater treatment plant, we're doing lots of things. We still have several cores. The building is going up. We were affected by the winds last week. As you can imagine, raising big panels into the air, probably not the easiest thing to do. They tend to fold, and so they had to stop construction for at least one day based on the wind that was happening out there. But everything is going very well at the plant, making lots of progress. Again, we're up and out of the ground for the most part. And we have been working with Beaumont Cherry Valley Water District on the connection of the reuse line and how that ultimately comes out of the storage clarifiers and out into their system. So we're still working through some details on that. All of your accounting is in your staff report, and I'm happy to answer any additional questions you may have. I think we throw you quite a bit in your staff report.
Thank you. Public comment? Okay. Discussion from council?
I have a quick question.
Question from Mr. White.
Best guess estimated time of recycled water coming out of the plant?
So we will actually be able to produce recycled water probably quicker than they will be able to take it. We anticipate July is kind of our new target date, so we went from March to July. I don't know if the water district will be ready to actually distribute the Title 22 water, but they know that that's our date, and then they have quite a bit of their own stuff to do on permitting their side.
Do we need to start doing 2x2s to see where they are on that?
Yes, I had a preliminary meeting a couple weeks ago with Mr. Jaggers with the Water District to talk about the steps we need to take to begin to open up conversations for final contract negotiation.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Any other comment, Mr.?
Just one quick comment. Are we all through or have approval from Fish and Game? That's all good to go now?
Yes, we are good with Fish and Game. We have received 2 of our 3 408 permits with Army Corps. Those being the most important 2, because one of them was actually hanging on the East Street Bridge in San Bernardino. We actually have to be in the river bed in order to do that, so we needed to be out of the rainy season. The third one is still yet to come, but we anticipate it any day now.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Mr. Santos?
Yeah, quickly on the pole connections on that, how many miles are we on that? I mean, how many miles to connect? I mean,
On the brine line?
Yeah, it's so close now.
Roughly we're about 80% of the 20 miles. So again, most of those miles are under the crossings. And so we have some railroad crossing, we have some river crossings, we have the creek crossings. All of those still need to be done. So, I would say we have, 5
6, 7 miles, maybe.
We're at
But
we're at
most of-
19 and a half miles.
Okay.
So there's about 3.5 miles of connections left.
Very good. Thank you.
Did the math.
And then,
Of course. I'm just trying to keep it in budget and on test schedule.
no, a quick, comment on the wastewater treatment in there. We drove by in there. I drove by on the area. Exciting. I could see the building.
Yeah.
That's really awesome. I mean, that's the only thing I want to comment with you guys. Excellent job.
Mayor Pro Tem wanted to stop and play basketball in there. We didn't let him.
Whoa.
All right, any other? All right, so it's receive and file. I'll make a motion to receive and file the project updates.
I'll second.
Councilmember White?
Yes.
Councilmember Lara?
Yes.
Councilmember Carroll?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Santos?
Yes.
Mayor Martinez?
Yes, with that, number 15 is the third amendment to the city manager employment agreement.
Mr. Parton stepping out of the room, given this is employment.
Mayor and Council, you have before you the third amendment to the city manager's contract employment agreement. As you'll read, he celebrated his 3-year anniversary on Halloween with us. Very happy to have him. He engaged in labor negotiations, and as a result, you have three changes to his employment contract: a 5% merit increase, an increase to his 457B, in addition to a cafeteria plan increase in coalition with some of the other units. I'm happy to answer any questions in regards to the amendment if you have any.
Okay, thank you. Public comment? No? All right. Any discussion by council? Mr. White? Go ahead, Mr.
Just for clarification, the staff report says that changes include extending his term as city manager. We are not doing that, correct?
That is correct. My apologies. That is correct. The term is not changing.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Lara?
Okay.
Good? Nope. Good. Okay. So with that, make a motion to approve the third amendment to the city manager employment contract.
I'll second.
Councilmember White?
Just, I should have asked this before, but just so it's out on the table, what's the percent of increase on this? I don't want anyone doing their own math on this.
A 5% merit increase.
Okay,
And the additional 457, I didn't figure out what that
that's
compensation
okay.
would be.
That's
But
okay.
yeah, 5% merit, which is it's in line with other employees as regards to an annual
Yeah.
increase. That's pretty standard and pursuant to our employee handbook.
Okay, yes,
Your vote?
yes.
You need to.
Councilmember Lara?
Yes.
You did?
Councilmember Carroll?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Santos?
Yes.
Mayor Martinez?
Yes, and I did call for public comment, correct?
Yes, you did.
Okay, very well. All right, until he comes back in. Oh, there's Mr. Warsinski.
What's the significance of his anniversary being Halloween? I'm just curious.
He did it on purpose, he said. He waited just for that. Oh, all right, so we can continue. So number 16, legislative updates and discussion.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Tonight, we don't have an exhaustive legislative update for you because we've gone to one ledge update per month due to the legislature being out of session. What I can provide you in terms of update from staff's perspective is we had asked Townsend Public Affairs to provide a list of every single new bill that was signed into law that affects local municipalities. So we've received that, we've distributed it to each of the different department heads here at City Hall, and then they're reviewing it to determine what the potential impacts of those laws are, and then also to bring back amendments to the city's policies as well as ordinances if the city's policies and rules are in conflict. So just know that we're going through that review right now.
Oh, very well. Any questions for Kyle? Mr. White?
So that's a list of all the bills that take away local control, government control that were approved? It's a pretty long
For
list.
the most part, that's what I've seen. I haven't yet found one that
Okay.
gave us back control.
Speaking to that, Mr. Pinckney, I sent you a text earlier this week about the possibility of us challenging AB 68 specifically. And I just, if you're not ready tonight to discuss that, maybe this should be in a future, but I figured under legislative updates, it might be a good place to bring that up.
I think that item should be agendized if that's something that you want to, or frankly, if council's interested in considering litigation, maybe something appropriate for a closed session.
Okay, well, I'll let you decide. AB 68 for those, that's the one that will allow a homeowner or residential property be able to add 2 structures to their backyard and make them both rental properties. And the city of Beaumont has very little control over whether or not we allow that. So yeah, I would like to address that, whether we do it open session or closed session. I think I'll leave that up to.
Do you want to keep that for a future item and bring it up then?
I think we can talk about it, right? Just, I mean.
Well, I don't want to talk about it now.
We can get direct, no, I'm saying we can't talk about it till it's an open or a closed. Right. And I'm just suggesting that we decide to have, I'm asking staff to bring back a recommendation on how we discuss it.
Well, we can do it now.
Put it on an open session?
Yeah.
Okay.
It should be something that's agendized separately,
Mm-hmm.
because that's not before you this evening. This is
That's
just
right.
a separate update, as opposed to discussing a potential lawsuit to challenge a state law. I think that should be agendized as a separate item.
I agree. So what what are you suggesting we discuss tonight?
Well, you can vote to put something on a future agenda tonight.
Okay.
Do that under the Brown Act.
Okay, so I would like to make that motion that this goes on a future agenda for discussion.
Well, we'll do that at future agenda items.
We can do it here too, correct?
You can, but you do have an item on the agenda
Yeah.
that allows you to do that.
Okay. Okay.
All right. Okay, any other questions or comments? Okay, thank you, Mr. Orsinski.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're moving to council reports. Let's see, Mr. Lar, would you like to go first?
Sure. To the WRCOG meeting Monday, November 4th. One of the items I think is important for us to know is WRCOG approved the CCI as of July 2020. And it takes I guess the biggest issue would be that it takes the single-family residential dwelling unit up to 9,478. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Lar. Mr. Santos?
Yeah, last October 16, we attended the league conference, and 5 of us were there. So that was really fruitful, because there's a lot of policies and systems that they introduced to us. And last week I joined the tour. Where's Elizabeth? I mean, that was a good tour by Selena. And we went there. I mean, we started in Walmart and to going to San Bernardino. And the one you mentioned about the $2.50, and I was surprised that that's all. And because the bus itself, nice and clean. Maria, the driver in there, is so courteous, and we have a handy person that she helped to load on the bus, and she knows what she's doing, how to tie it down and everything. And Selena helped her also. When we arrived to San Bernardino, I'm giving you the detail because very, very exciting. I mean, that's my first time to take a bus and also take the train in San Bernardino. If I could, encourage you, do that. I mean, we're giving away all these opportunities to our citizens in here and residents, not only in Beaumont. I mean, there's a lot of, Calamasa people, Banning, that joined this tour, even in Hammett. They went up in here to join that. And we we took the train. The train's so smooth. I didn't realize that. I mean, it's beautiful. It's so peaceful. I mean, because I do drive. I mean, from Beaumont to LA, you know, twice a week, and the traffic is horrible. And you know, we arrive in LA within an hour and 40 minutes in there, and it's so nice. I mean, and then Selena gave us a tour on the you know on the Little Tokyo. I took the Little Tokyo. We have the ramen, and it's beautiful. It's nice. I haven't been there for over 36 years, and you know, and then some went to China, Chinatown. I mean, who will have a problem with that? And then one is the Olivera or something on the Mexican place in there. It's beautiful, and we're total. You know, who's the passenger in there? 18 of us. We were impressed. I totally impressed on that. And then we came back nice and quick and quiet. And as I said, I mean, if we could do that every quarter and everything to entice people in here and to know how to experience again, I know, to ride the bus, especially the bus right now is nice and clean and quiet. Coming back, we got James. James, you know, he's very, very nice gentleman in there. So that's my short story and short, you know, report to you guys. Try it. That's the only thing I could try.
I felt like I was there. Boy, thank you.
No, I'm so enthused with that. I mean, as I said, for over 30 years, almost 40 years, I haven't really, you know, took a bus. No, China, why not, man? I mean, that's right. But the thing is, we go to China. I mean, you have to pay for a visa for $200.
That's his concern.
I'm giving you the whole.
Oh my gosh.
Thing in there.
Mr. White, can you follow up with that?
Yeah, I can definitely top that. I have nothing to report.
Ms. Carroll?
He's a tough act to follow.
He is a tough act.
He's absolutely right about the wonderful travel training program and going to LA with it. And Selena does an outstanding job. So I don't have anything to top that. So I have nothing to report.
Oh, so I'm going to break the tradition because I have a paper here. So here we go. All right. Well, here's and I can't top that. So here's my monotone report. So I judged the AYSO banners last month. That was very interesting. It's always nice to go and support the youth, and Mr. White was there as well, and that was a fun thing to do. We've been doing that every year. We attended the Financial Audit Committee, and nice to see that you made it, so we'll see your report. The annual League of Cities conference in Long Beach, I had time to meet with Townsend for a while and talk about possible grants for parks and affordable housing grants and kind of some of the focus that's going on that, yeah. The keynote speakers were very interesting this year. I enjoyed the update by Executive Director Coleman on the League of Cities and what we've been pursuing as a league. I am the Environmental Quality Committee representative for the division, and we sat in to look at two resolutions. We considered both, and we approved both. One was called the International Transboundary Pollution Flows, and it's talking about the river that's coming through Mexico into the United States. And the resolution was to call for restoration of the funding from the federal and the state government to help clean up and continue long-term solutions for that area, because it's really getting bad. And the funding was taken from something like $100 million down to $5 million, which is really, I was really shocked to hear it went that low for that disastrous of a place of pollution. The second resolution had to do with allowing the underground utility lines in the high fire areas. And we had no problem with that. There was some wording that we wanted to clean up that would help increase the funding for certain areas. So that was passed with amendments. So it'll go into the League of Cities Committee, Resolution Committee to go for full approval on that. I was reappointed as division representative, so I'll be doing another year for the Environmental Quality Committee for the Riverside County Division. RCA, we had our annual report that we received. We approved the interim executive director. Our executive director is retiring, so we have approved Tom Mullen as the interim executive director. And lastly, the species of the month. I know we wait. Maybe this will top that. I don't know. The Santa Ana River woolly star, which is a plant, a small flowering plant that exists only here and is on the endangered species list. And the discussion always has to do with the threats of habitat and how we can help mitigate that. So that is my report. With that, EDC update.
Mayor and Council, the next Economic Development Committee meeting is next week, so we're looking forward to that. Topics for people that want to swing by. Todd and I are going to be presenting a recession indicator report on some of the stuff that we've been working on for the local and regional economies, and then we're going to be talking about the whole Business of the Month program again, because that's envisioned to be a potentially long-term planning project to try to figure out what pieces go into that one and how we might be able to help other agencies get it off the ground and running.
Did you have time to talk to the chamber about that?
We've broached the subject with them, but we'll try to talk to them a little bit more before the meeting. I just did not garner a real good feeling either way, so it was kind of...
Okay, that's what discussions are for.
That's right.
All right, any questions for Mr. Wasinski? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, city treasurer report.
Yes, I am here because the machine broke. It's like going to a real fine restaurant and the cappuccino machine isn't working. Well, the MRI wasn't working up at Loma Linda.
They didn't tell you that until you got there, right?
No, we got a call late this afternoon.
All right.
I'm still looking for that $2.50 trip to China, though. Yeah, Elizabeth, do you have any more tickets? I'm in. Okay, we had our Finance Audit Committee meeting last night, and we are undertaking, in addition to our normal review of the financials and all the council assignments that were handed down a month ago. And we had our first team report that provided a straw man or a draft that we had a lively discussion about and kind of framed it up. And that was on the CFD education, training kind of activity that wants to be developed. A lot of great ideas, a lot of great participation. I'm glad the council decided to allow the committee to do it. It really got a lot more involvement of the people. There's a lot more intensity in doing it other than sitting back and reviewing the financials and that's it. So there is. There are three others that we are looking at right now, which would be the RFP process, grants, and investments. But we did have a little pause that we don't want to compromise all the activity going on here that's very important in the city, like the budget for next year, the audit that's going on. So we are going to be careful on how much activity we stress different staff on to doing that. But we have a plan in motion. The one we'll look for that the city manager said we may be able to get is the tech security, so we can have a presentation on that. And that's it, folks.
All right. Any questions for City Treasurer? All right, thank you. City Clerk report.
Okay, the public records request for status report for October. We've been buried, a whole bunch of them this month. We had 70 total requests. We've completed 41 of them. That, if my math is correct, that means 29 are remaining. I hope that's correct. So, 4129, very good. On a personal note, I attended the annual session of the California Senior Legislature in Sacramento and wound up getting coerced or intimidated or selected as chair of the Inland Empire Caucus for the legislature.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And Mr. Melman, I did see your email about the polling system and so forth, so we appreciate that.
Sure.
I think staff is working on how we want.
Excellent. Okay.
Any questions for Mr. City Clerk? Great, thank you. City Attorney report?
Yes, briefly, following up on the question from Councilmember Carroll earlier this evening regarding removal of a member of the Audit and Finance Committee, Beaumont Municipal Code Section 2.35.050 sets forth the term and tenure of members of that committee. All members of the committee shall be appointed for a term of 2 years and shall serve at the pleasure of the council. So council has power to remove. But in addition to that, under section 2.35040, it provides that any committee member may be removed from the committee after 3 consecutive unexcused absences from meetings and a majority vote of the committee. So they have the power to do it for unexcused absences. You have the power to do it for any reason at all. They serve at your pleasure. And then also on the issue that was raised by Councilmember White, which I assume you'll be taking up in a moment here, AB 68 severely restricts your ability to limit accessory dwelling units. And, we'd be happy to talk to the council, probably in closed session if you're seriously interested in considering litigation.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. City Attorney? All right.
And lastly, in tab number 17, you have a list of the pending litigation in your packet. And the first case, Urban Logic versus City of Beaumont, we discussed that in closed session in detail this evening, and we provided you with a status report. And then Aguirre versus the City of Beaumont, that's at the pretrial stage. Serrato versus the City of Beaumont, we have a motion for summary judgment that's pending. And then Santa Cruz versus the City of Beaumont, that's at the pretrial stage, and we'll probably have a closed session on that at the next council meeting. And then Peters versus the City of Beaumont, and we have a motion to have the city dismissed that's pending on that case as well. And so that's the update. And then we also have some cases that the city is pursuing as a plaintiff, and that includes a claim against former bond counsel McFarland Anderson and a lawsuit that's been filed against Norton Rose, former disclosure counsel of the city.
Okay. All right. Questions for City Attorney? All right, moving on to City Manager report.
Oh, goodness, I'm surprised. So obviously I wasn't in the room for item 16, so if y'all voted with me, I appreciate the opportunity to work with you and to be part of a team. It's been fun to see what we've been developing and working together on, and look forward to the future. If you didn't vote with me, it's been awesome to be part of this team, and I appreciate that opportunity very much. So go back to the land of barbecue, maybe. So on the travel training side, Mr. Santos did say it was awesome because once you get on the train in San Bernardino, they have some of the cars with tables on them. So he brought his cards, his deck of cards with him. He says that's the most money he's made an hour and 40 minutes ever.
There you go.
So it was pretty incredible. And then finally, on the endangered species, it was just so funny. I was just reading up on them today. They realized marketing is extremely important to survival, and they did find a new spokesperson. It is Philip Rivers. They're looking for a star who is also endangered to represent them. So,
that was good.
Thank you very much. And then the most important question you didn't ask during the Planning Commission was, do you inject or not inject? That was the question. Let's not tell anybody. That'll be our secret. That concludes the city manager's report.
Thank you on that. My wife's a Charger fan, so sorry for his comments. Okay, future.
Other Charger fans, we want to thank the Broncos for being in the league.
You are welcome.
You win.
Might as well.
Yeah, really. Okay, so future items, Mr. White, do you want to state how you would like to see that?
Yeah, I'm good with doing it in closed session if that's what Mr. Pinckney recommends, and if council is okay with that.
How do we feel?
Yeah, I'd like to know what options we have because of the state's desire to continue to tell cities how to run their local jurisdiction. It's concerning, increased occupancies and potential increased fire damage without any thought of facilities, infrastructure, and impacts to the cities that have to cover that additional impact.
And we can't require extra parking for the extra residents living in those dwellings?
Right. And the other concern is that some of the subdivisions we have are like a Schedule A type of road, which barely allow for the passing of two vehicles, and not supposed to be parking vehicles on the street. And if you don't allow for the additional parking, I don't know where those folks are going to go. But it's a concern for safety.
So, Mr. Pinckney, would it be beneficial to, if it's going on closed, discuss possible litigation, and let's say that we decide that that may not be the route, it's rather some sort of resolution or letter, would it be beneficial to back up on an agenda item as well in case we wanted to carry it out into open? Or
Sure, we can do that.
like that? Would that be something to do that?
Yes.
Okay.
And that way, if you decide not to pursue litigation, you at least have the opportunity to discuss it,
Right.
openly in front of the community.
And if we do, we can remove it from the agenda.
Just a clarification though, if we come out and, we may want to come out of closed session without letting anyone know that we've decided to move forward with the legislation.
If you vote in closed session to file a lawsuit, that will be reportable action. We'll have to report that out.
Right.
If you vote in closed session to file a lawsuit and you want to discuss it in open session anyway, you're free to do that.
Okay.
If you vote not to pursue it and you want to discuss it in open session, you can do that as well.
Or if we vote to discuss it more in closed session,
Yeah.
then we have nothing to report out.
That's correct. You wouldn't.
Okay, very well. And we're all in agreement. Looks like we have consensus for that. Very well. Okay, any other future agenda items?
Just a comment. I'd like to thank, on behalf of council, I guess, Nicole and staff for the excellent job that they did to put this together for us tonight. Appreciate that very much.
You stole my thunder.
Sorry.
But that's good. You got good
Not my
thinking.
intent.
You got good thinking, so. All right, so on that note then, we will adjourn at 7:45.
I'm so glad you're here. Right.